has the process changed? Obviously, you started out with David Jaffe directing the game, then Corey directed the game, now Stig's directing the game. How did their styles all vary throughout the years?
Well, I think the obvious one is they all came at telling the story from a different perspective. And I think at the end of the day, it really enhanced the product because you get to, it refreshes it. Every version, unintentionally ended up coming from a different perspective.
Death is my calling. Vengeance my creed.
Now, did you find yourself through the course of development of this game still referring back to things that maybe Jaffe said on the first game? Do you still sort of reference the foundation that he laid down?
Well, absolutely. I think, and we referenced a lot of some of the things Corey laid down, and some of the things that some of the senior combat guys on 1 and 2 laid down. So there's definitely some core rules that we as a team always want to follow, and they're important because it's what gives us a level of consistency. It was also make sure that we don't become too much of a parody of ourselves.
Now, since this is the third iteration of the game, when you're coming in to develop this, what was sort of your biggest fear working on the third one?
Topping the second one. It came up tonight. You guys got a chance to play the first couple minutes of the beginning of the game, and to be honest, when we started God of War 3, there were definitely a lot of conversations. We have to outdo the Colossus, and that came up a lot. And it was never really always a oh you're right kind of reaction, because how do you outdo that? We were no idea how we were going to outdo that. The game got feet of its own, got legs of its own, and evolved, and we're really happy, and we think we have outdone the Colossus.
Now, this is the first God of War on the new hardware on the PlayStation 3. What has the hardware allowed you to do with this game that you couldn't do with the prior games?
First is the Titans. You saw a little bit of the Titans tonight. There's a lot more in the case of the game. Moving interactive levels that are living, breathing things where it's not possible in the previous game. Another thing that we've been able to do is the level of resolution of the graphics is really, really increased. I mean, if you look behind me, the character you see on the screen, that's our in-game character. And the resolution is, we can get that close and it looks that good. That's allowed us to do almost all of our cinematics and all of our in-game storytelling, all using in-game hardware, in-game rendering techniques. And by doing that, it's a much more interactive experience.
How much concern was there among the team that the third game may end up being too similar to the first two games? And what did you guys do to make sure that didn't happen?
Well, I think that, there was definitely a level of, hey, it's not broken, so let's not fix what's not broken. But I think, the PlayStation 3 really allowed us to just blow things out. I mean, really raise the bar. Do things we weren't able to do before. Bring the graphic fidelity to a point that we weren't able to achieve before. Push the limits of the technology with the Titan technology and skin technology where you're climbing on moving animated objects. Kratos himself is like, Kratos by himself wouldn't run on the PlayStation 2. And, much like if you compared, a first generation PlayStation 2 game to God of War 2, the difference is just, night and day. Well, I'm sure first generation PlayStation 3 and then what the next couple years hold, it's going to be night and day. I can't wait to see what, if this is where we're at now, where we're going to be in a few years.